in 1 John 2, 15 through 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh, the desires of the eyes, the pride in possessions, or the pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. Verse 17. And the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. Do not love the world or the things in the world. And for all of us that are living, it's so difficult to not focus on the world. It's so difficult to not focus on the here and now. Because the problem is for humanity that we love to have control. And really the only way you have control is a couple ways. One, you have to do everything yourself. Do we got any doers, selfers out there? Nobody can do it as good as me. I have to take the trash out to make sure it makes it to the trash can or whatever. Okay, a few of you guys out there, some control freaks? Okay. There's only a couple ways we can have control, which is I got to do it myself. I got to make enough money to have somebody else be told to do it for me. Or I build this own little world of my making so that everybody can fit into my world. So I can kind of direct what goes on. And I love what John says here. He says, don't love this world. It's okay to enjoy this world, but your job and my job as followers of Jesus, if you're a Christian this morning, is to not fall in love with what you see and feel and taste and hear. Because in the same way that the meal you had last night, whether it was great, whether it was a bowl of cereal, whether it was really lame, in the same way that meal is gone, the enjoyment of it is gone, and it's just giving whatever nutrients it can to your body right now. But in reality, it's gone. If you dropped $50 on an awesome steak last night, or you poured a bowl of Fruit Loops, in either case, whether it was awesome or not so great, it's gone now. It's done its job of kind of making you happy or full or whatever, and it's over. And John says that's exactly the way it is living in this world. That we chase after things that the lust of our heart wants or that our eyes see and desire. And when we get there, we think it's going to be like long-term fulfillment. And all of a sudden, it's like a vapor and gone. And the real problem of living isn't that you aren't supposed to enjoy stuff. The real problem of living is we keep chasing vapor. That's a problem. You know what I love about that video with Seth Curry? He's at the top of his game, literally. He's the MVP of the NBA. Makes more money than most of us will make in here altogether. And you know what? He worked hard on his craft. You see him dribbling the basketball beside the lake. Day and night, he lives and breathes basketball. You can see it. He plays against some of the greatest athletes in the world and beats them. Now his team is getting close to the NBA championship right now if you follow basketball. And you know what I love about his testimony? Is he goes, I make a lot of money. I got a lot of fame. Everybody wants my autograph. I'm probably close to going to the NBA championship right now as we sit here. But you know what? His heart isn't there. His heart is for Jesus. Because, watch, if he blows an ACL or smokes his ankle or breaks his arm, then at least this season's over, if not almost all of next season, depending on how severe his injury is. In fact, he could have a career-ending injury and never get back to that level again physically. And it doesn't matter if you're at his level or if you're at a different lower level. Any level comes and goes. Everything is like vapor. Your money's like vapor. Your popularity's like vapor. The things you work hard on like vapor. All your relationships are like vapor. They last for a little bit, but then they're gone. And John says, why do we spend our lives chasing after things that are like air? They're like vapor. And we look for our value in those things rather than in God. Number one, what does it mean to love the world? What does it mean to love the world? Should we hate this world? Should we hate living? Should we hate things in life to serve God? What does it mean to love the world? At the beginning of creation, God built the world, put all living creatures on it, including humans, and called it all very good. Genesis 1:31. God is the builder of this universe. God built this universe. He put energy into it. He put matter into it. He put life on it. God built everything you see. Gravity can't create. Matter can't make. Life doesn't pop out of pools of chemicals and lightning, or else it would still be happening. Life comes from life. We have a law of science called the law of what? Biogenesis. From life creates other life. You can't get a first life unless you have an eternal life that gives life to it. It's a logical and scientific impossibility that you can get life out of non-living things. Which is why life doesn't pop out of podiums. But life will pop out of people because people give forth life because they're already alive. Problem is, how do you get the first life? Because it ain't coming out of rocks, it ain't coming out of chemicals, it ain't coming out of a pool of amino acids. How do you get that first life? Boom shaka. You have to have, logically and even scientifically, you have to have a living being give forth life. So, the Bible says, God, who is uncreated, who doesn't have a creator, is the eternal living God, creates temporary life. Genesis 1, God builds the universe as a master architect, creates all the laws of physics to govern it, and he sets it in motion. He gives energy to it. First and second law of thermodynamics, the universe has all the energy it will ever have. We don't see energy being poured in from somewhere else, which is why the second law of thermodynamics, okay, I'm not going to get started. Okay, here we go. Ready? Wow, that was almost a whole other sermon I started. Genesis 1, God builds the universe, God puts life on it. At the end of chapter 1, in verse 31, God says, and it was, he saw all that he had made, and it was what? He proclaimed it very good. There's no sin, there's no death, there's no suffering, there's no perversion. He put his two naked little people on it. They were so happy in the Garden of Eden. God himself was fellowshipping with his creation that was created in his image. All the animals, there was no death. And all of a sudden, sin enters the world. But I want to take this one step back before sin enters the world and realize that the world is good. The universe is great. We are amazed by the universe. In fact, it's the reason science even exists. To look out in the universe and go, how does that work? I sit in my backyard. So I've told you this before. So I spent a lot of years in Pomona, right up the road. And through the smog, it was very difficult to see the stars at night. I was amazed once I moved to Temecula how many stars there actually were. I sit in my backyard and look at the stars. And I love to see the different brightness of all the stars. I find the Big Dipper, because we live in the northern hemisphere. And then off of the front of the Big Dipper, it points right to the North Star. And all of our constellations rotate around this one star, which is why they call it the North Star. Everything, my whole backyard, as I watch Orion's belt, and I see everything just rotate around the North Star. Every night I can always look for the North Star. Doesn't matter where the Big Dipper is, doesn't matter where Orion's belt is. All this that's built by God just turns like this. Perfect. Not chaos, not crazy, not everything just doing whatever it wants to do. It's all built to do its job. And I'm amazed. I sit in my backyard almost every night, I look up at the stars and go, God, you're amazing. I don't look up and go, wow, there's a lot of chaos out there. I go, this is amazing. The house that somebody built is not even close to as amazing as the stars I see. Even in our, and here's my point, even in our sinful state, I'm still amazed at the goodness of how God built the universe. Even through my sinful eyes, I still look at I'm amazed by the goodness of God in the universe. Even before sin, God says, this is very good. So what does it mean to love the world? Can we love the world? Can we love what God has built? Because God said it was very good. The physical world in and of itself is non-moral and neutral in regards to good and evil. However, once sin entered the universe, the physical world began to decline and deteriorate, and humans had the opportunity to desire and commit evil against the goodness of God. And we see that in Genesis 3:17. Humanity starts to hate God and choose their own way. So sin enters the world. There is now a barrier between humanity and God and a barrier between humans. Since then, humans have focused on the things of this world and how to please themselves rather than focus on God and please Him. So the world, or being worldly, took on the connotation of living for the moment and seeking temporary pleasures over the eternal. And I want you to see this. The world in and of itself is not bad. The world is great. The world is fantastic. I love to see those. Anybody remember Jacques Cousteau? Jacques Cousteau. From like the 70s or early 80s or whenever his science thing was going on. My dad's a biology teacher, and I would love to I would sit in front of the TV and I would watch Jacques go, and now we are going down to the bottom of the ocean. And I go, Jacques, what's going to be down there? What's going to be down there, Jacques? Or Jack. And he'd get in his little submersible, and I'd just be sitting in front of the TV, and it's black, black, black. As he's going down deeper, deeper, there's no light. Light can't penetrate. It's too deep. Black, 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 black. I'm going, Jacques, it's too dark. What's down here? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of this like halogen beastly light he's got in front of his submersible, all of a sudden this like, this thing comes out of the darkness, whatever it was, a little fish or a squid or whatever. And it's something, I remember him talking about, this is something no one has ever seen. No one has ever seen, no one in humanity has ever seen with their own eyes something this deep. Because we've never been able to get down this deep. People die when they go this deep. And it was funny to me, because here's Jacques, who I don't think believed in God, but he's amazed at this little squid at 3,000 feet or whatever. And it struck me, even as a young man watching these videos, the amazement that he had at this little thing, all the millions of dollars poured into putting this submersible this deep, and they're blown away by the design and the life that lives at a depth they never thought even anything could survive. And now we go to the bottom of the ocean, and we see all these weird things, flat things flopping around, and we're going, how can something at this level of pressure even live? And yet there they are. And here's my point. The point is that the world is given to us by God to enjoy. We enjoy the world. You enjoy, hopefully, the seat you're sitting on. It was designed to keep your butt nice and comfy for a little while. Everything we see and everything that is part of the world that God built, we can enjoy. God says this world is very good. And it's your pleasure and my pleasure to see what God has built, to discover things. So the enjoyment of this world is not the issue. But the issue is loving it. And that's what we're going to break apart right here. For good or for evil, love is and does. Is it possible to love evil? Is it possible to love evil? Is it possible for you to love doing evil? Is it possible? Yeah. Because many times we think of the Hallmark version of love like, oh, I got you this card. I love you. Oh, it's got a cute little bunny inside. We look at love and we go, oh, love always means positivity. Love always means fuzzy feelings in my little tumbly. No. Actually, you know what? Love is non-moral. It just means you go after something you really desire. If it's evil, you go after it hard. If it's something that's good, you go after it hard. Love is the propellant of what your desires are. So watch, ready? You can know what you love based on what you do. You can know what you love based on where you go. You can know what you love based on where your money goes. It's super easy. The litmus test of love is not your feelings. The litmus test of love is what you choose to do. I can say I love my wife, but if we never spend any time together, and I never pour into her life more than just, hey, I paid the bills this month, then it's difficult for me to say I actually love her in a biblical sense. Because if I spend all my time and effort and money away from my home and away from my wife on other things or on other people, then I actually love those things more than I love my own wife. And it's the same thing with the world. How focused are you on the things of God? Because sometimes God doesn't even enter our mind. We're just relentlessly focused on the here and now. And that's what John talks about right here. Biblically, love is a sacrificial action emitting from the heart of a person whose expression of that love represents the highest value a person has. So what do you sacrifice most for in your life? For those of you guys that bought a new phone, you're like, I can't have the Nokia flip phone, man. That's so 97. I got to have the iLife, watch wristband, computer heartland thing. What? Yeah. I got to stay connected, man. Got to have the newest and best and brightest and most expensive. Even though the other piece of junk that you had works just fine. It gets the job done. I mean, people did survive pre-cell phone. Everybody with me? I mean, some of us have survived, right? Cell phone did not save humanity. Neither did the internet. We've done pretty well pre-97. Right? But the lust of more and better propels us to go, dude, I need the $800 phone, watch, brain, whatever it's going to be next. Do you really need it? Yeah, I need it. You sure? Mm-hmm. Because this watch you can change faces on. Mickey in his hands. Tell me what time it is. Gives me my heart rate as I sit here in the service and fall asleep. There's many things this $4,000 watch can do. But do you need it? Oh, I need it. It keeps your heart beating? No, but it monitors it. So if it stops, if all of a sudden it says 0 heartbeat, you're going to be able to know. I'm dying. Do you need it? No, I guess I don't need it. Okay. Because the issue here is not having nice things. It's fine to have nice things. It's fine to enjoy. It's different to love. It's fine to enjoy. It's different to love. Enjoyment means I'm going to have it for this moment. If I crash it, somebody steals it, it burns to the ground. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Love means I got to have this thing or I'm not happy. I got to be in a relationship or else I'm not happy. If I'm not in a relationship, then I feel bad about myself and I got to go do something to find somebody to have a relationship with. Are you breathing? You're good enough. It's fine to enjoy relationships. It's different to love. And John says here, don't love the things of the world. Don't give your heart to it. Don't sacrifice at the sake of leaving the good things that God wants to do in your life undone because you're so focused on the here and now. It's like if God had some glorious future for you, but you're so worried about the dirt on the floor right now. Oh, gosh. God's like, come on, let's go to Disneyland. Oh, but there's dirt. There's dirt. I know there's dirt. This is the earth. There's going to be dirt. It's not a big deal. Let it go. Let it go. God says, through that door is my glorious future for you. And we go, oh, but there's dirt down here. I just love dirt. God goes, hey, I love dirt too. I actually made dirt. It's fine to enjoy dirt, but I have this glorious thing out here for you. And we're so focused on this that we lose this. We're so in love with this that we lose that. Because watch this. You only have so much energy. It either goes to God and the things of God, or it goes to the world and the things that vaporize. Not that it's bad to enjoy. Enjoy your nice car. Get a new car, enjoy your nice car. The new car smell, we even have a spray. If you got an old clunker and you're like, I can't afford a new car, you can run down to the dollar store and pick yourself up some new car spray. Shh. Oh, smells like a Ferrari. I don't care. Hook yourself up some new car spray. I don't care. Buy yourself a new Ferrari. Whatever you have the ability to do, if it's God's will and your desire to do it, okay. But don't leave God's work undone. You want to buy a Ferrari? Awesome, buy one. But if you got that kind of money, then you better be putting into giving us a new building that we can all fit in. So, awesome for you. Drive your Ferrari to church, but make sure that the church you go to has a building to fit everybody. Not wrong to enjoy, not wrong to have, wrong to love. Everybody with me? This isn't a it's better to be poor sermon, because that isn't biblical either. What it is, it's always a love issue. There was rich people in the first century church too, but the only rebuke they ever got was that they were too focused on loving their stuff rather than loving God and the people of God. Everybody with me? There is only room in the heart for one ultimate love, either God or self. I put it in italics. Look at it. If you're still awake, look at it. There's only room in your heart for one ultimate love. There can be many things you love in your heart. I love my wife. I love my son. I love my home. I love my dogs sometimes when they don't pee or poop inside the house. I have a relative amount of love for other things. But I have a lot of things that I love in my heart, things that I sacrifice for, things that I give myself to. I love this church. I give myself to pastor this church because I love you guys. I love this community. I give of myself to love others. There's room in my heart for many things I love. But when it comes to ultimate loves, there's room only for one. And it's either God or all my little trinkets and things that I want to have in life. There's only room for one ultimate love. There can be room for many small loves, but one ultimate love rules them all. And it's either God or stuff. What is your ultimate love this morning? Being in a relationship, being married, having kids, having a better job, having more money, moving up the ladder of your company. All of these things are not bad. Good to enjoy. But your focus must be God. And if He gives you these things, then you will feel blessed. If you just go get them, then you're going to feel like, I don't really know what I love. I think I just love myself. But if you know that God has handed them to you, your new job, your raise, a relationship, a new car, whatever it is, then you know it's God that has given this to me because I focused on Him and He handed it to me. But if you always do it, then it's always about you. So the stuff isn't wrong. It's where your heart is. That's what can be wrong. Number two. So number one, what does it mean to love the world? It's not wrong to love the world of the physical things that are here because God built the physical. That isn't wrong. You can enjoy it. Have pleasure in it. However, your ultimate love has to be God, and that's where we break it right here. Number one, what does it mean to love the world? And number two, what are ways that people love the world? And I love how John breaks this into three pieces. What are ways that people love the world? It is not wrong for believers to live in the physical world. It is, however, wrong to pursue and focus on the things that are important to the cultures and human systems of the world. Our culture, one of the main things that we focus on is material. Other cultures don't have a lot of material, right? They're living in a grass hut or whatever, and they'll be happy if they can just kill an animal and feed their family today. Us, we worry about, like, I wonder if I'm going to get that new iWatch, the Apple Watch for my birthday. Well, other cultures, the money you spend on that watch alone could feed their whole family for a year. So don't be looking at stuff going, oh, I got to have that. Because some cultures are just like, I hope we can kill something today and eat it. So our culture is very focused on things. Because we're so comfortable, we get bored of what we already got. Right? It's not that your old clothes don't work. Some of them might not fit. But your old clothes still cover stuff. But it might be last year's style, or depending on how old your clothes are. If you're still rocking the butterfly collar from 73, it might be time to upgrade. You guys know what I'm talking about, the butterfly collar. Don't sound like, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. When you roller skated and stuff back in the day. Yeah, see, you knew what I was saying. Don't play it off like I have no idea. You know, you remember. Chocolate milk brown shirts and stuff like that. Okay. There might be a time to upgrade things in your life, but I want you to understand, it should never be at the cost of doing God's work. The things you've got still, if they still work, good for you. Awesome. If it's clothes, if it's guitars, if it's cars, houses, a new bed, whatever. If they still work, it's not wrong to upgrade those things. But you want to make sure that your heart is for the things of God, not just things. And so John's going to break down how we can discern when our desires are wrong. You can only focus on one thing at a time. So, I brought out a little ball. So, the fantastic part of this is that it still spins. God's design in Genesis 1 is He builds this little blue dot in the universe, and He puts it at a perfect tilt so that we have seasons. And He builds an atmosphere around it, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. God, from the sun, 93 million miles away, light comes and it hits and it diffracts and splits inside of our atmosphere, unlike our moon that just gets baked or frozen. And it warms our whole globe up. So even on the dark side of our globe, when the sun's over there, we still stay warm. God builds this amazing globe, and He sticks people on it all over the globe. And people get to enjoy His creation. When Jacques Cousteau goes deep down here and sees little squid and junk that's at the bottom of the ocean. It's amazing. When we go to, not Kansas. When we go to California, we enjoy what God is. When we go to Maui, out here, then we really enjoy what God has built, right? So, and I'm reiterating from the first point, nothing that God has built here is wrong. When John talks about loving the world, he's not talking about loving the world proper because it's okay to enjoy what God has built. What he is saying is all the cultures, here's the United States, here's where we are in California, of all the cultures that are on the world, what they tell you to do and the value system they have, if you fall in love with that, you're wrong. Watch, because you should love the God that built this world more than the little cultural pressure that forces you to love things that God might not even care about. Everybody with me? There's going to be a new way of thinking for some of you. I want you to track with me, okay? We can love what God has built, but we don't love this world. Because everything God built passes away. However, God never passes away. So all the things and the little things that we worry about and care about in this earth will someday cease. But the God who we serve will never cease. You can only focus on one thing at a time. So let me illustrate this to you. I want everybody to look at this globe. Ready? Look at it. Focus on it. With both your eyes. Ready? So we got South America here, in Brazil, Colombia, okay? Right there, look. Now, as you're focusing on that, this is going to be a lesson for some of you. As you're focusing on this globe, don't look at me. Don't look at me. Look at the globe, children. When you focus on the globe, I am in your peripheral vision. Focus on this hard. Hard! Look, hard. Try to read. It's like the DMV where you got to read. Those little letters far away. Focus on that. If you were to say, what's standing next to the globe? You'd see it's a hazy white guy with some kind of bluish sweater. Off further into your peripheral, things start to fade away. It becomes black, it becomes more out of focus. The closer you get to this, the more in focus things become. The further away, focus goes away. You can only focus on one thing at a time. You either focus on the world and the things of the world, or you can focus on God. Things become clear when you focus on it. When you focus on the world, the things of God become hazy in your life, the will of God. When you focus on God, the things of the world are secondary. Where your focus is where your heart is. Because focus takes energy and attention. If it's going to be your job your whole life, you're going to be disappointed when you're let go. Because your job has become your God. Your retirement account has become your security. But if it's God, you can say, even if I lose those things, I still have God. Because my retirement can pass away. Like some of us, like the last couple of years, you're like, wow, 401k, where did thee go? But if God is your security, you can be secure in all things. Because your focus is not on the things of this world, but rather on the God who built it. To help Christians discern how they might be tempted to return to their old ways, John breaks down three primary issues of living in a sinful world. Number one, the desire or lust of the flesh. And this is just physical things, could involve sex, but it's just the desire inside of your heart to just want stuff. The physical pleasure, if you abuse drugs, if you abuse alcohol, if you're still taking prescription drugs when your body doesn't hurt anymore. You've just become addicted to the cycle of taking stuff. Because people are habitual and cyclical, and so when you fall into a habit, even if you don't need why you started it in the first place, you just continue to do it. And it becomes part of your life. It becomes part of your heart. But John is saying here, you want to break that cycle. You want to break the habitual cyclical cycle in your life. You stop it. You put a stop to it. And instead of using that energy and that focus on things that were destroying you, you focus on God, who will never disappoint you. You might not get everything you want. It might not always go your way, but God will bless you when you follow Him. You will see the blessing of God in this life if you follow Him. It will not always be pretty, but you'll be amazed when you follow God through the hard times, how He will bless you. The desire or lust of the flesh is a physical desire to satisfy our sinful nature. Number 2, the desire or lust of the eyes as the gateway to getting stuff. Your eyes are the gateway that says, I got to have that. I got to have that. I got to have that, which is why they spend billions on advertising every year, right? Right? I mean, if advertising didn't work, they wouldn't spend a dime on it, right? The number one way we discern if we like something is through our eyes. Now, if you're blind, you have to figure out if you like stuff by touch. Or if somebody goes, this is a podium, do you like it? Yeah, it feels pretty sturdy. But if you're not, if both your eyes work, you're able to go, you know what? I don't know if I really like this design. I prefer a big wood lectern myself, so I could spread my notes out. I like one that goes up and down. Your eyes discern what you like and don't like. And if it's something you don't have, if you're like, gosh, I would really love this sweet lectern, then you're able to go, gosh, what do I have to do to get that? Rather than just looking at it as a functional piece of your world, it becomes your world. And John says there's the lust of the flesh, where you go after those things to just please your physical body. There's a lust of the eyes, which is a gateway to desiring something to please your body. And then thirdly, it's the desire or lust of compiling or acquiring things to boast or take pride in. So in your Bibles, it'll say the pride of life or the pride of possessions in the ESV. This is the last thing I want to focus on, because this is America. And like I've said before, we have storage units that when we don't have room in our 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot house, we go, sweetie, where are we going to put all this junk? Let's rent a storage unit and put the stuff that we can't fit in our house in our storage unit. So wait, hang on. So you're paying somebody to store stuff you haven't looked at in 10 years. Yeah, but it's all part of our life together. Okay. If you haven't looked at it in 10 years, it's not part of your life together. You don't need a storage unit for baby pictures. But I have to store our fifth wheel mobile home. Well, how big is it? Oh, you could fit the whole church in our mobile home. It takes up 3 blocks, and it needs its own special zip code to park in. How often have you driven said 3-block home on wheels? Oh, we took it to Yosemite 14 years ago. That was a great trip. We had a great time. How much you pay for that thing? Oh, it's like $300,000, but it sure comes in handy when we need it. I'm sure it does. I hope it starts. It's been sitting there for 14 years in storage. And my point being is, in our society, we have actually created storage areas for junk we don't even use anymore, and we pay somebody to store it because we don't have room in our garage. Did you know garages are a Western invention? To store your little cutie car, put a little roof over her. And even inside your garage, we don't even have room for the car anymore. It's got to sit in our private driveway. And we just keep packing stuff in the garage. Here's my point. It's not wrong to have stuff. It's not wrong to enjoy stuff. Enjoy stuff. It's God's blessing to you. but it's wrong to compile to the degree that you don't even have room for the stuff that you used to want but don't even use anymore. It's a relentless lust for stuff rather than a relentless pursuit of God. And when we pursue God, God will bless us with stuff. He'll bless you with stuff. It's like our kids. I love to bless my son with stuff. We go to the beautiful mall, which has no chaos or loud things happening. And we walk through the mall, and I love to bless my son with something that he likes. But here's the thing. When I go get something because I love my son, or you give something to your kid because you love them, you want to bless your kid, but what you don't want is your kid to go, I care more about my stuff than I care about my relationship with my father. And it's the same thing with us. When we focus on what we just want, rather than focusing on the God that gives us, we have misplaced the giver of the gifts. It's not that the gift is wrong, it's just that the giver of the gift is greater. And we need to focus on him, and then we can really enjoy the things that we get. Because now we know it's in proper balance with our God. Because we love God, and we just enjoy stuff. And that's correct. That's the way it should be. We don't pursue this and then do secondarily God. We pursue God, and secondarily we enjoy things.